Welcome to Behind the Badge with your special guest, Lieutenant Williams, your news source for all things police in the city of Fond du Lac.
Welcome back into Fond du Lac today on News Talk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ. It's now time for another edition of Behind the Badge. Lieutenant Williams is back, and we have Officer Clapper in studio too. Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good morning. Good morning. It's been good.
Good morning. It would have been better if we had a National Night Out mascot race win, but apparently Banjo decided to get a little bit of a head start.
All right, we're jumping right into it, and we're going there. Last week when we talked about National Night Out, and I'm like, hey, I'll see if I can get Banjo to show up. Banjo showed up, and he was the winner. How cool is that? We gave him a steak dinner afterwards. We congratulated him. It was amazing.
We actually did some scientific research, and it's actually not that cool. We should have won.
But the main thing is, though, is that Sparky from the fire department did not win for the third or fourth year in a row, whatever it is. So we'll take Banjo for 1 year, but we really got to
I think for
scouting here.
Advertising next year, I mean, it's always been kind of like a Sparky versus McGruff, and now we're gonna have to add Sparky, McGruff, and Banjo, or maybe we get all of the mascots involved in the advertising for the race.
Definitely, and I did hear that, Banjo may have gotten a head start. I don't know if there's any proof to it.
Was the whole thing videotaped?
I believe so, and I witnessed it with my own two eyes. So there was a very little bit of a head start, but we won't mention that.
We won't talk about it anymore, how Banjo cheated at National Night Out. Now, there was some other stuff that did take place at National Night Out besides the mascot races.
Yeah, there was a lot of turnout, actually, from families with children and stuff. It was really good to see. I'd say there's definitely hundreds of people there at a minimum. So, like we talked about last week, we had a lot of different public safety departments and community partners as well that got to partake in the activities and bouncy houses, stuff like that. So the kids had a really good time out there.
I didn't get to see it in action, but they had like a Hungry Hippos like live action game.
Yeah, that was.
I wish I would have been able to see that. Apparently, are you like tethered to something? You have to grab like marbles or balls or something like that, or
yeah. So you were tethered. It was an inflatable. There was 4 players at this time. You were tethered in there, and you got a ball, and you had to bring it back to your bin. It was for kids ages 8 and up. I wish I could have partaken if I wasn't injured, but unfortunately I couldn't. We
had like the Bearcat out there that people can walk through, our command posts, which is kind of neat because like we have like a major situation. You might see all these vehicles stationed somewhere. You might want to know what it looks like inside. So a nice little hands-on view. We had a little obstacle course. The drone was out there, of course, which is always kind of neat. We have quite a drone team now. I mean, did they just bring out 1 drone, or like what are we up to, like 5 drones now?
Right now we have 3, but we are getting a 4th, it sounds like. We just got to get approval for that. So
are we gonna have a drone that deploys our drones? Because I feel like that's where we're at.
Yeah, we had the drone out there, just one of our drones, and then the robot. Detective McKeelick was doing the drone demonstration, and then Officer Malik was doing the robot demonstration. So it was cool. A lot of kids were really amused by the robot when you're driving around with a group of kids. They think it's the coolest thing ever. So
one thing I miss, and I think there's a reason, but they used to have the old dunk tank. And I was unfortunate or fortunate enough to be inside the dunk tank once, and the line stretched for like longer than I could see. But we took shifts, which was lucky. But I was in there for a double shift, I remember, because someone didn't show up. But that was fun. I mean, literally that was fun. So I hope, I think financially it didn't work out. The person that had it sold it somewhere else. But hopefully they could bring that back some year, because I think kids enjoyed knocking cops down, and well, maybe adults did too, but it was also enjoyable for police officers as well. So hopefully in the future that might be brought back.
While we're talking about throwing balls, did we find anyone possibly Doc Spider future in their hands?
Not that I'm aware of. There was a lot of kids, so I would be surprised if the radar topped 20 or 30 miles per hour, but not when I was there. I wasn't working it. I was just out there with some family, and what I saw was mainly kids that were like 5 to 10. So.
Were you a baseball player?
Yeah, I used to play.
Okay, so do you know what you got thrown up to?
I was never a pitcher. Definitely didn't have the control for that. Normally third base, shortstop was
It's still a good arm.
my stomping grounds.
Yeah, so Marcus played a little baseball, so he can get up there. I am nowhere close. Horrible.
I used to be able to hit like upper 70s, so I'm primarily an outfielder though. So
I had the opportunity once to throw the first pitch at a Brewer game, and I was terrified, like, of just trying to get the ball over the plate.
Yeah.
Because I'm so inconsistent in throwing, and I got it over the plate, but there was no, it was almost a lob. But that's stressful.
How long ago did you do that, and how did that come about?
Well, that was after surviving a gunshot wound or whatever. So I was lucky on law enforcement night to be able to throw out. I think it must have been 2012, if I were to guess. But yeah, very stressful event for someone that was shot in the shoulder and then ask him to throw. But that's just an excuse. I was horrible at throwing before, so it wasn't one of those like rookie of the year moments where like my injury made me better. It didn't make me any better at all.
We got Lieutenant Williams and Officer Clapper in this morning for Behind the Badge. So we got through kind of National Night Out. Anything upcoming that the police department's a part of in the future coming up?
yeah, so on Monday, September 19th, our Police Explorer Post is hosting an open house. So our Facebook page will have more information out there about it, but essentially it is a way for people that are interested in law enforcement. We've talked about Police Explorers on this show before, one of my first few shows. But the Explorer Post is for youth ages 14 to 20 that are interested in law enforcement, to get some experience in law enforcement, to see if that's what they really want to do. So they can come get hands-on training from officers and instructors within the department in different tasks and topics such as like handcuffing, active threat response, search and seizures, stuff like that, vehicle contacts, and see if law enforcement is the way they want to go for their career route. They also get to volunteer at like competitions, get out in the community, work community events. We've seen them at National Night Out, for example, at weekends, stuff like that. So that open house is Monday, September 19th at the police department from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Chief Goldstein will be our welcome speaker. And then myself and the other two advisors, Officer Malik and Officer Mathis, will be there kind of talking about what Explorers are, what we do, the trainings we do.
You're going to show your video?
I'm going to show my recruitment video as well.
He was working really hard on recruitment video. So I show him how to edit some videos, and all of a sudden, yeah, he's gone off on his own and done some cool stuff. So he did a good job on it. So
that'll be played. We also got some pictures from meetings and stuff like that, but then we'll also have a tour of the police department. So if you have anyone that's interested in maybe joining the post, feel free to come to that event, but RSVP to me so we don't have like 300 people coming, and I think that we're going to have like 10 or something like that. So you can email me at mclapper, CLAPPER, at fdl.wi.gov, and look forward to having some more Explorers. Right now we have 16. I'm hoping to get around 30 or more. So
wow, that'd be a lot. It's a great try it before you buy it, like type thing. Like obviously people don't know really what they want to do usually in high school, and for those that do,
yeah. Now I'm talking to a microphone.
Yes.
I don't know what I want to do with my life.
Well, there you go, Explorers. So it's great, and we're actually finding that they'll start in Explorers and they move to our CSO program, and then we end up hiring them as police officers too. So it's great way for you to get into the business if you need to get in, because you're going to have so much experience compared to the people that don't do that. Like, you're like, oh, what have you done to prepare yourself? Oh, I joined the Explorers and we did this and this and this, and then I went to the CSO and we did this and this and this, and holy cow, you're like pretty much a cop already.
I think we've talked about this, but that's actually how I started, was in Explorers, and then became a community service officer, and obviously now I'm a police officer. So there's been quite a few people within our department. I can think of at least 5 that were police explorers in our department and got hired on at our department, but also even in the area, local agencies. So the sheriff's office has quite a few former Fond du Lac police explorers, including Sheriff Waldschmidt himself. And then North Fond du Lac Police Department has Officer Clinton as well. That was one of our explorers. So it's a really good way to help build your career and be successful in your job seeking when you're looking for jobs.
Now, you mentioned the Explorers. What's the age range for that? What are you looking for?
14 to 20.
Awesome, appreciate that. I know we were talking off air before we started this interview about a topic that involved dogs, Lieutenant Williams. We had some stories recently.
We talked about questions from the public, and then we come here and we had a question from our very own host here. But it is a good topic because people are very passionate about animals. They really are, and I am. Being a former canine handler, having a dog myself, and there are some rules within the city that are there for a good reason. And one of them is keeping your dog on a leash, and people are like passionate both ways on this, but because they'll be like, oh, my dog, I can trust my dog. That may be so, but can you trust the other dogs? And that is a great question. So if I know I have a dog aggressive dog, I am allowed to have a dog or aggressive dog, and maybe I'm trying to train that dog not to be dog aggressive, but they're not there yet. So I'm going to keep that dog on the leash. Well, if you do not have your dog on the leash, and it goes out of your yard or whatever, and goes up to me, who has my dog on the leash, and my dog aggressive dog attacks your dog, you are at fault for having your dog off leash. I'm doing everything in my power to keep my dog from attacking other dogs, but you have let your dog wander. Even though your dog's friendly, you don't know what other dogs are doing out there, so you have to keep control of your dog. And it's very important. Some people become frustrated. Well, it wasn't my dog that attacked. Well, that may be so, but those rules are in place so that we don't have these circumstances, because you don't know, especially if we really got in the weeds in this, some dogs develop different behaviors when they're on a leash than when they're off leash because they feel like they have to protect their owner. So you might not think you have a dog aggressive dog, and then all of a sudden a dog comes up and that dog feels like it has to protect you from that dog. And it'll display behaviors. There's actually some techniques where when you're dealing with that, you actually drop the leash to try to get the dog out of that protective drive. And that's really getting into technical things. It depends on the type of dog. German Shepherds and stuff like that are like real trained for more protective. Pit bulls, and almost every dog's got a little bit of pit bull in them like these days. Most of like the rescue dogs do. So they'll have that protective drive inherent in them, and they might, especially on a leash, be more protective and then attack dogs that come near. So the important thing is to have control of your dog at all times. I also talked about, I often walk my dogs on trails, and it is posted on there that you have to have your dogs leashed at all times, and some people do not have that, and it really becomes an issue if you're not able to recall your dog, and all of a sudden it could be a dog aggressive dog that it comes up to. So
yep, definitely makes sense. We're getting close on time here. One more quick thing. Let's say you're at a dog park, right? Both dogs are allowed to be off leashes. What happens if like there's an incident between two dogs there?
Just gotta, obviously you gotta be careful, try to separate the dogs. If there's injuries and stuff like that, it's more of like a civil issue. There's not anything that like someone could cite for. If one of the dogs ends up taking one of the people, then you would call the police for a dog bite report. That you'd have to do, because you want to know about vaccinations and things like that. You probably want to know that anyway. So basically you separate the dogs and try to take care of injured animals, which hopefully there aren't any.
Awesome. Guys, appreciate you stopping by for another edition of Behind the Badge.
Thank you.
See you next week.
This is KFIZ Fond du Lac.